In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a really cool jack-o'-lantern decoration for Halloween. My name is Gil, and in this beginner's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your very own Halloween jack-o'-lantern. This one is great for beginners because it's not too difficult or complicated and still looks awesome when done correctly. This project is great using a number of tools in Lightburn to streamline making this Halloween decoration. To make this project, you're going to need the following: cardstock, paints and a paintbrush, glue, a laser cutter, and of course a copy of Lightburn. Now that you've gathered your materials and equipment, let's jump into Lightburn and I'll show you in real time how to set up this project so that you can cut all the parts you need. Let's go. Okay, so let's get into it. We're gonna go and launch what we usually launch, which is Lightburn. Let's grab Lightburn. There we go. And we're jumping into the latest version. So we're going to make this Halloween decoration. It's a jack-o'-lantern. So I actually found some line art. I guess sometimes people call it different things. Freely available. And what I have done is I've actually put this into the art library here. It's jack-o'-lantern, and if we take a look here, we can see the artwork. We're just going to click it, bring it straight into the work area. We can close up the art library. This again is great because if I ever need to use this artwork, I've got it. It's stored within Lightburn. I don't need to find it. So I have been using the art library in quite a bit. If you haven't checked out the art library before, I have a video about it. I definitely have the link below for you. So here is the line art freely available from the internet. Take a look at it. It's designed, it's got a clear background. You can see there's a lot of detail in this. So I'm actually going to simplify it, and I'm actually going to get the lasers to do most of the work in creating this piece to create the same effect that I would like. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this piece of artwork, and I need to change it from an image into a vector that I can actually work within Lightburn. So I am going to do that by right-clicking and going to Trace Image. And Trace Image is going to allow me to trace that image into vectors that I can then modify. These are the standard settings, and you can see with the purple all highlighted, that's all the information that's going to be transposed and turned into a vector. So let's hit that OK. Let's see what's going on. And you can see if I grab this and just flip it over, I actually have the vector there. So I'm just going to highlight this and delete it. You can get tracing software to actually delete that for you. I tend to just kind of like to do that step myself, because if I ever want to come back, one of the things that I might want to do, and I'm just hitting the undo here, is I might put this just to the side. Let me scale this down. I might just take that image. I might put it to the side. So I've got something to refer to as I modify the vector now. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. It is all in one group. So the very next thing, I want to actually remove some of the detail in here because it's superfluous. It looks great as line art, but it's not going to transpose to the piece that I want to create. And one of the things I'm taking into consideration here is the time the laser will take to actually create this piece. It's all going to vary from one laser to another. I use a diode laser. I use the Blazer 2. If you're using a CO2 laser, this could be a lot faster. If you wanted to engrave something like this with a fiber laser, again, that could be even a faster process altogether. But I try to minimize the amount of work the laser has to do with the actual layout that I create in Lightburn. So let's select this guy, put him in the middle, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button here that's a single person. This is ungroup, and what that's going to allow me to do is now go in and select different areas. And I'm going to do this very strategically. I know that there are some areas that I want a lot of detail and some I don't. And if you actually look at the image on the left-hand side, I realize that the teeth has like a double layer trying to give it a 3D effect. If I actually go in and zoom in here and select this guy and just delete him, I realize that when I remove the part for the mouth, great. I don't need that extra information. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through with the mouth part. I actually do this individually so I have some control. If I make a mistake, I can just go back, hit Control Z or undo, and I can do it that way. Or the other way that I really like doing it is that if I grab a section, let's zoom in here. I start a position. Let's do it this way. From right to left and then move down. Everything that it touches is selected. So I have an instant selection. This is a great trick in Lightburn. If you grab the mouse and go left to right, it only will grab everything that's in the box. You can see there it doesn't do anything. But if I go wider, actually it's not going to do it on that one. Let me go and find something that's okay, right here. On the nose, we're going to try this piece. So right to left, everything that is selected within the box, so I can go over that. That's not going to be a problem. But if I go right to left, you see it selects everything. So this is a really quick thing. If I haven't used that before with selection, it is an awesome way of being able to quickly select a lot of things. And I kind of like doing this by hand. Let me just go quickly center this up. I like doing this by hand because it's just, I find it's kind of fun to do. So again, just grab that piece, make sure I grab this piece too. Now I'm cutting out the whole mouth, so all these pieces that I'm getting rid of, it's just saving time when I do the engrave pass on this, and I'm going to get it to grab all the detail in that piece so I don't have to scribe it on myself. And that's kind of like something that I really enjoy. Whoa, see, I hit it, but I can just undo it one step. Did it again. All right, so let's do this individually. And in fact, I'm going to speed it up here and do the whole pumpkin, and then I'll get back to you guys in 1 second. All right, we're back. So that is the piece. I've removed some of the detail you can see in there. Most of it was kind of like that double layering of the mouth. In the eye socket here, you can see there was kind of like this effect to give it some depth. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to create the depth by actually cutting out layers. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So right now I have the piece of artwork. I'm going to actually remove the image. And what I'm going to do here is I want to start separating the two layers. So my plan is to actually cut a second layer for the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and then use these cutouts as well from the original one to have basically a three-toned or three-layered effect for the jack-o'-lantern. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start defining a few layers here that we can actually work with. My plan is to get the lasers to cut out all the detail, and then what I want to do is remove the shape of the pumpkin, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select those all now. So I'm going to select this one, then I'm going to hold down Shift and select the eyes, the mouth, okay, and the other eye, and the nose. So let's go center that up again. Oh, I just deselected it, so no, there you go. That undo key is great. We're going to duplicate it, so which we just did by hitting Control D. And we're going to actually put that all on another layer. So if we hide that layer now, you can see that we have a black layer, and that black layer is going to be the engraved layer. You can remove the layers that we are going to cut on. I'm just going to leave it there because it's not really going to take too much time. Or, you know what? Let's get rid of them. It makes it a little easier to understand what we're doing. We're removing the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and that outer layer. Not that one. But, ooh, didn't like it. Let's see. There you go. We're going to cut that one, remove it. So we've got now, looks like a normal pumpkin. At this point, I'm actually going to also select and group them all. So now it's one piece. I'm going to turn that piece off. And now we're going to select and group these and also make that one piece. So now we should have the pumpkin ready to go. It's going to cut out the mouth, the eyes, the nose, and the actual piece. Fantastic. So now all we need to do is scale it for the piece of material that I'm using. And I'm actually using some off-cut cardboard that I collected from work. It just happens to be kind of a little bit of a fibrous cardboard, but that's okay. It does cut very nicely in the Blazer, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to scale it down just a little bit. And I kind of want to do this in an interesting way. I think it's going to be an interesting way. So what I'm going to do is start working on the next layer. And the next layer that I want to cut are these eyes, nose, and mouth. I'm going to turn off the original output. And you can see it's, because I've turned the output off, you can still see it. If you don't want to see it, you just hit show. In fact, I'm going to do that just for this. And I'm going to ungroup it. I like to group so I make sure when I'm scaling, it's not going to be a problem. I'm going to grab these guys there. I'm going to duplicate them. Let's move them over to the side here. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the offset tool on all of these. And I'm going to offset both inside and out by 2 mil. So what I'm actually going to create here, if I just quickly move, is there should be a 1 mil gap between the mouth that I can either paint so that it looks different, like a different part of the pumpkin, or if I want to add something into it, I now have a lip that I can kind of glue something to it, or I could put something separate into it. The only thing that I need to do for cleanup here is I need to get rid of these middle lines. So I just select them, delete them, and this lip also means that I can now take the off-cut piece that's going to be here on the nose and the eyes, and I can glue it behind this so I can give it a layered effect. That is my plan. So at this point, we're looking good. I'm just going to select all of them, group them, because I like to group things. That makes it a little easier to move them around. And the next thing I need to do, and that's what I was about to do before, but then I decided, you know what? Let's make sure that we're all good with this piece first, is that I want to size out the material that I have, and I know that it's going to be a really, really cool size. Let me just pull it up because I measured the piece before, so I was all ready for it. And the piece is 148. So hang on a second. So the piece of cardboard I'm using is actually this is actually half size of it, but I believe it's 148. 50.5, 148.5 by 208. And this is a strange measurement, but 0.22. And that piece now becomes a guide. So I'm going to change that and put that onto the tool layer, my favorite layer that has been added into Lightburn. I'm going to put it right in the corner here, right at the beginning. So one of the first things that I've noticed is I don't want my laser to frame the actual space that I'm using the tool layer, so I turn that frame off. I ran into a problem where I was like, I know that the laser's showing me a different size, and I realized that it was the tool layer. I'm going to duplicate that again by holding Control D, and I'm just going to slide this across. Why 2? I'll show you in a second. So this is the official size of a piece of my material, but I want to grab these guys and I want to bring them in and make sure that I've got enough space. Print these as big as I can, and I'm going to actually undo that sizing because I want to do this at the same time. Otherwise, they will not match. All right, let's go. Undo that again. We want to grab it from this side. Oh, that's interesting. There we go. All right. Let's move it up a little bit. You can see I'm actually sizing these at the same time. I'm just going to grab this guy and just move him in just a little bit. I'm going to hold shift, grab both. And you guys, you can see I might go a little bit over. I just want this piece to be as big as I can on the piece of material. That's looking pretty good to me. I'm kind of happy with that. Fantastic. All right. So now that I've got these pieces, I want to show that piece. And I made a mistake. I knew I was going to do this. I made a mistake because I didn't size this piece up as well. Darn it. You know what I'm going to do? Let's see if I can do this live. Let's see. Let's see if we can match this. Actually, let's think out loud. Someone actually just asked me. They were like, "Gil, why do you show the accidents or the things that you get caught up with in Lightburn?" A few people were like, "Yeah, you don't really know Lightburn that well or anything." I do that because when I'm working through processes, these are the accidents that happen. And to be honest with you, I think that kind of happened to everyone. So the way I'm going to work through this is that there are numbers of width and height up the top. I'm going to transpose those onto this piece, and we should have the same match. And we'll check that in a second. So 142.890 by, and again, this is a good way of being able to work out how to match something if you've done the same mistake I have. By 141 by 140, that's by eye. I can already see that is damn close, if not being close. That's not 100% aligned, so we're gonna select both of them. Select all of them. Let's go select. Now this is where the tool, let me take tool layer off for a second. We don't need to select that. All right. Now, wow, just all right. Let's do this. We're gonna align vertical. And we're gonna line center it, and there we go. We actually, if you take a look at it, we are okay. We are fine when it comes to being able to come back on this layer, and you can see what's going to happen here. The laser is going to etch into these as a line, and it's going to cut out the blue areas from the pumpkin. So let's take a look. We haven't put any settings in here. I just want to take a quick preview and see how we're going. It's looking 20 minutes is fine, and you can see here it's putting in all the etching, and then it comes back and cuts out the pieces. That looks really cool. I like that. I like it a lot. So now what we need to do is I need to set up some settings for cutting this cardboard out. I did some tests. I haven't added them to my library yet. So I'm going to do this by hand, and we're going to first of all do the black layer, which is the etching layer. So we're going to come in here, and it actually is 1000 by 100. So it's 1000 speed, and it's actually going to be at the max power of 100, where it only needs one pass. So let's go to one pass, and we are actually going to not turn on the air assist at this point. So we are good with that first setting. That's going to be, I'm going to put this, and we're going to call this the etch setting. Beautiful. We're good there. We're good to go. On the second one, this is our cut layer. It's a little bit different. We're going to slow this down considerably. We're going to call this the cut layer first, so we know what we're working with. And we need to slow this down to 350 mil per minute. And we'll leave that at 100, and we need 2 passes to get through. And in this case, I'm actually going to turn on my air assist. I do want my air assist on. It makes the cut a little cleaner. The reason I chose not to do it on the first black layer is that I want the actual cutting, the kind of the darkness of the burning of the cardboard, I kind of want that to be there. So I'm actually kind of happy for it to be a little bit more, not as refined as the cut would be. If it happens to burn and splay over a little bit, I'm fine with that. So let's go back to the preview. So it's just 20 minutes, which was the first one I did. And you can see exactly what's going on. We're going to cut all of those pieces out, and then it's going to come in and cut the other piece out. So at this point, all we really need to do is send it to the laser. So let's get that going, and then we'll come back and finish the last couple of steps in this Jack-o'-lantern Halloween project. Now, while my Blazor 2 is cutting out the parts needed to create the jack-o'-lantern, I'd like to invite you to hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss out on all the different types of laser projects and videos coming out. And while you're at it, you have a personal invitation to come along to the laser live stream and share your finished Halloween projects with us on Facebook. The link to the Facebook group is in the description below. Now, I can't wait to see how your projects come out. But right now, let's get back to the laser and see how it's all going. Now that we have all the elements cut out, I'm going to move over to my work table so that I can complete the next step in this project. All right, so let's get on with doing the rest of this project. I've got the 3 pieces right here, or 2 pieces really. You've got the main pumpkin body, jack-o'-lantern, the eyes and the mouth, and actually it is 3 because here's the nose. So the first step we're going to do here is we're going to actually paint it. We're going to give it some color. This is just natural cardboard, as you can see. The laser has done some markings. I'm going to use some acrylic paints. You can use whatever paints you want. I just happen to have these kind of Galleria paints, which I'm going to use. I'm going to mix up some of these paints on a paper plate. It's a paper plate right here. And I'm going to do that in front of you. First of all, I'm going to try and find some sort of nice orange color. So I'm going to grab some red, just put it down here. If you haven't tried this before, it's a lot of fun. Get it all over my hands. I'm going to also grab some yellow. That's the best way to make some orange. Kept these paints all nice and clean, and now they're not, but that's okay. Doing this sort of stuff around the camera is kind of interesting. Just take my brush, grab some of the red, smear it around a bit. I'm going to grab some yellow, put that in. That's exactly what I'm doing, just trying to mix up some colors. We'll see. Actually, see, we'll do it this way. The yellows and the reds, we'll just see how we get there. Might need a little bit more, maybe a little less, a little bit more red in there. That's a nice orange coming up. Yeah, it's nice. I'm just going to start talking through this as we speed up the footage. All I'm doing here now is just coloring in that top layer. Because the paint is so thick, it's losing a little bit of the lines the laser's put in. So I've got a piece of paper towel and you'll see that I'm just blotting here, just giving it a bit of a texture, making sure that the thick paint at this point is not actually obscuring any of the detail that the laser has actually put in on the jack-o'-lantern. All I'm doing now is just going back, grabbing some more paint and just coloring in that top layer. And I've actually gone over some of the areas that I'm going to actually put a different color in for the stalk. I'll be able to come in and fix that up in a second. Just coming in. I'm also watering down the paint a little bit so I can actually smooth on, almost like staining the surface of this piece of cardboard. By the time we actually finish, you won't be able to tell that it is a piece of cardboard. Kind of cool. If you've never done this before, it's a lot of fun. And it's one of the reasons why I love cardboard so much. So again, just going in there, just making sure I've got all the pieces in. You can start seeing a little bit of a texture. I'm now going to actually grab some yellow paint. I'm going to add it to my palette. Just going to mix it in with the existing orange just to give it a little bit of a lighter hue. And I'm coming in here and just giving it a little bit of a shading just on the side, just giving it this piece a little bit of a rounded kind of feel. Trying to follow where shadow and light would lighten up a three-dimensional shape. Now, this is the level that I go to. You don't need to do this at all. You can just paint it orange and be done with it. Camera doesn't pick up as the subtlety of that. That's okay. I'm now moving on very quickly to using some green paint, and I'm just gonna lighten it up with a little bit of white paint as well. I'm gonna go and paint that stalk. Just going in there and fixing up the area that I repainted over with orange. You can see it's not too much of a problem. I'm actually playing now with, again, a little bit of a texture, trying to give that top part a little bit of a kind of shade there, using a little bit of a lighter shade and a darker shade. Again, you don't have to be an expert at this sort of stuff. As a lot of famous artists say, it just naturally goes where it needs to go. And there you can see I've lightened up the shade a little bit and just trying to give it a little bit of a texture. And I personally enjoyed the challenge of doing this sort of stuff. If you've got 30 of these pieces that you're making, of course, you don't have to go to this sort of level. But I kind of get really into these sort of projects, and I like to see how I can always try something new. You can see here, I'm now just fixing up a little bit of a problem. A little bit of my paint ended up getting out of the lines, you know. I failed finger painting and painting in between the lines when I was younger. So I've just come back here and I'm just touching that up. And I'm now going to move on to that second layer. So I'm just putting that second layer in there, just seeing how it lines up. And you're going to see there's the nose piece as well. Just making sure that I got it all, kind of the image that I want in my head is going to come out. And now I'm actually painting the lower mouth part white to kind of emulate teeth. That's, again, all I'm doing is taking just some white paint and just painting that on the cardboard. The great thing about cardboard is it absorbs paint and water really, really quickly. So it almost dries within a few minutes of applying it on the cardboard. So here I am just quickly, in fast forward, painting through this process, making sure that, you know, I've got everything even. And once I've done that, we're going to change to some black so we can start blacking out some of the eye pieces, the first layer of the eye. And there's just mixing up some black paint, making sure that I clean my brush because we don't want it to be gray. Starting off with the nose, just applying some black paint there. Then we're going in to do the eyes. And see that I've watered down the paint just slightly, so it's not as thick and not as dark as I want it to be. So I've gone back and just used the paint without actually watering it down too much. And made a little bit of a mistake, a little gaff there, where some of the black paint went onto the white teeth. And again, that's what's so great about having a paper towel. Lining it up, and you can start seeing the two-tone effect that I'm actually working with on this jack-o'-lantern. Now the last layer that I actually need to put in here is the original pieces that were cut out of the top jack-o'-lantern piece. We're going to put those underneath or the middle layer so that we can actually start, again, having this layered effect. And in this case, I'm actually just using the same black paint, just quickly putting it on there. Now, if you were going to go and use something like maybe some lights or some LEDs, this is where you would actually, have that behind that second layer, which is where you would attach it. Again, just having all these things painted up just makes it a lot easier to be able to place them around and see, is this the effect I'm trying to get? Is this not the effect that I'm trying to get? There's the nose piece. And you can see my cutting board is completely messy, and I've just gone and cleaned the board as these pieces have dried. So they're now dry, and I'm actually dry fitting them into order, really, so I can actually see what's going on. There you go. I can see exactly what's happening here. I've got this layered effect. If I wanted to go in and change some of the eyes, maybe lighten up the hue, I can do that. And I'm using just normal Elmer's school glue for this project. And I'm going to actually use my fingers because it's the fastest way to apply it. Originally, I started using a toothpick, and I just thought to myself, you know what? This is just going way too slow. Just applying it, smearing this glue around. I'm actually going to put the lowest part in first. So these are the eyepieces that I originally we're using from that original top cut piece. And what we're going to do is we're going to sandwich all these pieces together. There's the mouth. You'll see me starting with the toothpick, and it was just going to take way too long. So you know what? Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. It's awesome to be able to go and do this sort of stuff. And there we go. Put that piece in. Just let it dry. And then we'll turn it over and you can start seeing some of the layers. There's a little bit of glue there. We'll just wait for it to dry. The great thing about this Elmer's glue is it actually dries clear, so it's not a problem. There's the nose piece. Just cleaning off the surface from any glue because we're going to use that surface to glue the final piece into position. My last attempt with the toothpick. The things you learn. And then there's your nose piece. And because the eyes and the mouth are actually all connected, we've got to glue those pieces on directly. And that's what we're going to do right here. Apply the glue. This glue dries pretty quick. And you can see from behind that we've actually got all the pieces lined up. We press it down. And you know what? We're pretty much ready to go. There's our final Halloween piece. And here he is. So I have this piece we just made. That piece there, you can see the eyes. The cool thing about that is because it's made out of EL wire, it can be really spooky. So obviously it's a little bit raised because it's sitting on its battery pack. But there you go. You've got two jack-o'-lanterns made in the same way. You can see I've done a little bit of shading on this one. Same file, same painting technique. I like the shading on the one with the flashing eyes. The other one I did right in front of you. Something very simple. You can make something like this probably about 10-15 minutes. And if you want to make multiples, you could definitely do them one at a time or in multiples. So something a little different for this Halloween. Hope you enjoyed it. That's a project going from the artwork to the laser, then painting it up and finishing it off with some electronics. In this case, the flashing eyes, or you could leave it as a standalone pumpkin. You could place it in a window, or on a door, or anywhere you like. And there you have it. In less than 30 minutes, you have completed a project that has allowed you to practice tracing, grouping, removing vectors, and setting up speed and power within Lightburn. Now you can take this project to the next level by adding lights and sounds. Let me know if you would like to see a tutorial covering how to add basic electronics to this laser project in the comments below. Until I see you on the next video, check out these laser videos here. I hope you all have a spooky Halloween and get to make something creepy and festive with your laser cutter. Go make something amazing.